These two guys have Minnesota sports flowing in their veins. Mackey and Judd on Score North and ScoreNorth.com.
Reckless speculation.
Yeah.
Reckless speculation.
Hello, friends, and to all who celebrate Reckless Speculation Thursday. It's our guy, Darren Doogie Wolfson from the 5 Eyewitness News Sports Department. We will get into some reckless speculation.
Let's do it.
Our Purple Daily question.
First one of October.
Oh. But before we get into anything here, we just want to give you guys, the audience, a heads up. The next Purple Daily Unplugged, the second ever Purple Daily Unplugged. Judd's already opening up like Superman his Padres Brewing t-shirt for the YouTube audience.
Ooh.
So
I need one of those.
Purple Daily Unplugged at Padres on Monday, October 21st from 5 to 7 p.m. There's a couple Monday night games going on that night, so we can all hang out, cheers, and talk about the Purple. You must register. It's free to get in, but you must register. ScoreNorth.com/unplugged. ScoreNorth.com/unplugged. All attendees will receive a free Padres pint glass and a free beer. What more could you ask for?
Whoa.
Sports Dad, Vikings takes. We'll do a little private podcast.
Yeah, 6-0 Vikings previewing that Thursday night game against the Rams. Doesn't get better than that.
Let's go. So, Dukes, we'll get to some Viking stuff here, but you were just at the introductory press conference for the new Timberwolves, Julius Randle, Donte DiVincenzo, and then ... space, Bates Diop, right? So what's the vibe right now after that trade, now that you spent some time talking to some people at this press conference inside the Wolves facility?
Yeah, I was there this morning. I thought all three handled themselves very, very professionally, very, very well. And the more you hear both on the record and behind the scenes, including Chris Finch on camera for the first time reviewing the trade after Wednesday's practice at Mayo Clinic Square, it is clear the love that Chris Finch has for Julius Randle, and it's reciprocated. It's mutual. That Julius Randle thinks the world of Chris Finch. I did ask Julius the question. Now, hey, I get it. He just got here. What is he going to say? But I said, hey, you have that player option for the 25-26 season. Is the idea that you want to be here long term? He does. And I think he's being genuine when he says that. Now, let's see how it plays out. But the love, I'm telling you, the love he has for Finch, plus realizing, hey, this is a pretty good team. Like, where else am I going where I have a realistic chance to win a championship? But I'm telling you, like, you know, I had a high-ranking Wolves official. I mentioned this on Tuesday. Say, hey, let's see how it plays out with Randle. No determination has been made, but they fully realize, hey, he is an interesting trade chip at the trade deadline or a little bit before. There's some flexibility there. But I think Chris Finch wants to make this work. One other thing, and Rick Carlisle went on the record about this, the Indiana Pacers head coach, but it was brought up at some recent coaches meeting. Bottom line, expect more physicality in the game. We saw it post All-Star break, but like I think we're going to see a lot more being let go. Not as many whistles. The Wolves feel like with DiVincenzo, with Randle, they have gotten incredibly tougher. Plus, you think about DiVincenzo, his ability to cut, catch, and shoot. There's so much the Wolves love about DiVincenzo. But that idea of it being a more physical game starting opening night, October 22nd, that's another thing at Padres, right? So it's the night before the Wolves opener. So you can mix in a little Wolves chatter too, maybe off mic. But the excitement heading into that Wolves opener on Tuesday the 22nd. But starting on Tuesday the 22nd, we are not going to see a tight whistle. So this very much is a basketball trade. I think we laid that out in this space on Tuesday, Phil. But it very, 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 very much is a basketball trade. Nothing to do with the financials. Yes, they have that flexibility. That is part of the equation.
Yep.
I'm not denying that. But like immediately, they love this as a basketball trade.
Yes.
So what did Connelly say now? Because, you know, it was awkward Monday, right? The Wolves have their big day, media day, Dukes, and they're all there, and and the two most important people, Connelly and Finch, are like, can't really talk about much right now. So what did Connelly say that you might have found to be intriguing about the decision and trade, which I'm not shocked Cat got traded. I think we can all agree the timing was pretty shocking to everybody.
That's it. I mean, I really thought after you advanced to the Western Conference Finals, because we laid this out going back to December, January, February, March, heck, heading into game one against Phoenix. If they lose, and a lot of people thought, hey, they're not advancing past the first round. This is a horrible matchup against the Phoenix Suns, that they would blow up the core right then and there. But then you advance. And we all thought, especially after July and August passed and most of September, that, hey, yes, they are going to run this thing back. That's what you do when you have home court advantage in the Western Conference Finals. Glenn Taylor had said, hey, yes, I'm okay paying that luxury tax bill. Let's see if this core, with a fully healthy Cat, let's see if Cat can get to 80 games played, that we can make a run this year. And if we don't, then you blow up the core summer of 25, not off-season 24. But we always thought this was a possibility. How long have we talked about Cat to the Knicks being a possibility? We knew Leon Rose, all the obvious connections were staring us in the face. Now, Connelly, it was a wonky setup, Judd, right? Like in that atrium, you've got the Wolves employees one floor up looking down, some Wolves employees right there. It was 20 minutes max. Connelly made an opening statement thanking Cat for his 9 years, all-time Timberwolf. I do think he didn't say this, but I think 32 will hang in the rafters one day. You know, talked about how New York is getting a phenomenal person and a phenomenal player. Then Tim was asked 2, maybe 3 questions max. Now, he was asked the first question, why make this trade? Within that answer, he did touch on Donte DiVincenzo. Now, this is Donte's 5th team in, 6 years, which is pretty remarkable. But Donte has won an NBA championship. I'm just telling you, and we touched on this on Tuesday, but I'll reiterate it now. Donte was not always on the table. They love, I'm telling you. We laid this out summer of 23 when they went after him. They freaking love Donte DiVincenzo. And so the way Tim was talking about Donte, his experience, heck, Donte was talking about being able to play the 1, 2, and 3. That's a big part of this trade. But Phil, hey, you tweeted it. I would have loved to had a little bit more time to ask Tim the question. I don't know how he would have framed the answer. I don't think it would have been a direct shot at Cat. But yes, bottom line, if you feel like Cat can be the number 2 player on a championship team, if you really feel that deep down with this core, Ant 1, Cat 2, you don't make this trade.
Yeah.
Right? So he can say everything he wants complimentary about Cat. But this was a basketball trade. If he felt that strongly about Cat, he doesn't do what he did on Friday.
100%. And there are obvious CBA financial ramifications for being in the luxury tax apron, the second apron. You don't want to be there back-to-back years. So, chunks of money had to go in the next 12 months or so to stay out of the second apron in back-to-back years, which really hampers your roster ability, right? But to that point, there are other ways you could have eliminated. You could have traded Rudy Gobert, right? You could have traded Naz Reid or a couple other players, or not re-signed to Naz Reid.
Jaden McDaniels.
Jaden McDaniels' contract bloats up starting this year. There were other ways to get below the second luxury tax apron for 2025 and 26. And I keep going back to that. The Julius Randle fit. So I'll tell you.
I still have questions about it.
Toughness. I love the toughnness. In terms of, hey, we need someone to go get a bucket. Anthony Edwards is really the only guy on the team. Cat was not really a go get a bucket. Cat was, with his offensive fouls, didn't have a great post game necessarily. He could get some buckets here and there, kind of hit or miss. One-on-one, need a bucket, give me Julius Randle over Cat. Shooting, give me Cat. Cat's one of the great shooters in the NBA. Defense, size, Cat, you're losing some size with Julius Randle. But
although
Julius
in terms
Randle,
of switching, I had a non-Wolves assistant coach, one of my buddies just said, hey, he thinks in some ways Randle might be a better fit defensively.
Yeah,
and he brought up the switches. And I don't need to get into all the nuances and all that. You and Kyle can do that on Flagrant Howls. I'm not Mr. Break Down the Film, X's and O's, schematic NBA guy. But this coach, I lean on a lot of people for my information. And this particular coach, who I have a ton of respect for, who one day will be a head coach, just told me, hey, he actually thinks defensively Randle can be a better fit.
We'll see about the defensive fit, but when it comes to passing, rebounding, go get a bucket, get to the rack, avoid foul trouble every single night, there's a lot
Cat
of
can
things
get to the
like
rack
about.
Yeah, Cat can get to the rack.
Doogie, Cat has the highest offensive foul percentage on anyone who drives. That's a power forward or a center. I mean, he can get to the rack, but he does it through carnage and getting himself in foul trouble a lot. And that's
although if they're biting the whistle, does that favor Cat in some ways? I still have questions. I haven't changed my stance from Tuesday that I do have some spacing questions. But I understand. In Connelly, you should trust. In Finch, I think you should trust. I've told you, I think Finch is an offensive savant. We haven't necessarily seen it, though. That's the thing, right? Like we've heard for so long about Chris Finch being this brilliant offensive mind.
Yeah.
It hasn't necessarily come to fruition. But like I'm telling you, they don't make this trade without Chris Finch's blessing. So we can talk all we want about Connelly, where Connelly stands on Cap being the number 2 on a championship team. Let's not dismiss Finch's voice in this, because if Finch was defiant, if Finch was incredibly vocal about, no, you can't make this trade, deep down, I don't think they make it.
Can I dive into the world of, on Thursdays, reckless speculation here? In fact, I'd like to cover.
You don't have to ask us twice.
I'd like to cover. I need to cover.
Okay.
Cover me,
All
because what I'm about to say.
That's going in.
I'm going in. Deep end of the pool here, Darren.
All right, hold on. I got my pen. Hold on. All right,
okay.
Go ahead.
So I'll just start with an anecdote about Media Day and go from there.
Good pizza.
I believe it was our friend, mutual friend, Myron Metcalf, was asking Ant about the Olympic experience, which clearly has had a profound effect. I think he's going to have a fantastic year. I think he has now learned what it means to be a professional, which is a difficult thing to learn. But
he's in phenomenal shape, the best shape he's ever been
huge.
in.
And it's all muscle. But
That matters.
anyway, he said, so Myron was going through, you played with Steph Curry and you played with LeBron on the Olympic team. And at some point, 3 names in, Ant cut him off and said, and KD. So here's my question. Does this, and I'm not saying it's going to be this season, I'm not saying it's going to be tomorrow. Clearly does this all end up, is this as much as Ant said, I love Cat, that's my guy. Is there an end game here that Kevin Durant ends up as a teammate of a man that clearly loves him? And by the time Durant gets here, Ant might be the clear-cut face of the league.
Oh, I love it. Oh, this is juicy.
He cut him off, Dukes. He cut him off and said, and KD.
Reckless speculation.
Do I think Ant would love to team with KD? Yes. Do I think deep down the Wolves are very open-minded to a scenario like that? Yes. Okay. Why does Phoenix do it? What is the package going to Phoenix? Phoenix's owner, who, by the way, was interested in the Wolves going back years, what's his incentive? KD is under contract for what? 2 more years, extension eligible.
54
Maybe
million.
not right now, but eventually.
Moves
So do
around
they
a
even
lot,
extend KD? Find a way to keep KD in a Suns uniform until the day he retires. Now, I guess if you're rooting for such a scenario, you want Phoenix to go backwards, right? That, maybe Bradley Beal breaks down again. Maybe KD breaks down again. Does Devin Booker miss some games early in the regular season? It was weird for Phoenix for long stretches of last year. Does that weirdness carry over into this regular season? Then they reevaluate. But what is the pathway? I'm not denying, okay, yes, interest, and could you make it work? But how do you make it work? What is the incentive for the Phoenix Suns? I just have not heard of Phoenix Suns' interest in Julius Randle. The Knicks were shopping Randle for a while. We heard about Atlanta and Detroit and Miami and even some others with cursory interest. Never once heard of the Phoenix Suns. So I'm just telling you, Judd, what is that pathway where KD comes back here? What is going to Phoenix?
Well, that's the second apron conundrum, is that you are not allowed to use multiple salaries or contracts So KD is a $51 million chunk this year. You can't cobble together Julius Randle's 29 and somebody else's 18 to get to KD's contract. So that's the complicated part about this.
I'm glad you're the expert on the apron and all that. Because, yes, like the rules don't even allow such a scenario.
Unless there's another loophole that I am not entirely familiar
there's always
with,
loopholes, right? How about the Knicks? You know, the complication of buying a guy out of his European contract.
Genius.
Then signing him for $1 above the minimum. So there are loopholes all along the way, right? You know, people highly compensated in these front offices to find said loopholes. But yes, until I find that loophole, I don't even know how exactly you get KD here.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm just looking for other. Yeah, the first apron penalty is, so salary matching in trades ordinarily is, I believe, 25% on either side. If you're in the first apron, it's got to be 10% on either side. So it's a more narrow range. And I've seen a couple conflicting things about matching salaries. There's another one. Teams can't use trade exceptions created when combining the salaries of multiple players. I mean, however it would happen, it would be amazing to watch those guys play together for at least a year at the end of KD's career. And KD, to Judd's point, has jumped around a lot. So I don't know. But I think this is what they're going to roll with now going forward. They've got a deep team. Julius Randle, it's training camp. You got a preseason game. This is it for now, and then we can reevaluate at the trade deadline.
Well, I mean, that's even what some Wolves people have told me on background. Like, because like Friday night into Saturday into Sunday, I was like, okay, like Julius Randle is this incredible immediate trade chip. Okay, so we know that he can't even be aggregated, and it gets wonky anyway, right, in terms of 60 days. But, you know, if you were just trading him, you could trade him immediately, but that's not the Wolves' plan anyway. But that's where my mind went instantly, that Julius isn't going to be here long term. But now that I've had a chance to marinate on this situation for a few days, listening to Finch on Wednesday, listening to Julius today, I think there's a genuineness there.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying it's going to work. So if it doesn't, you part ways. But I think there's a genuineness that Finch loves Julius that much, and it's mutual, that maybe this thing could work long term.
By the way, I'm going to leave some room here. It might only be that you can't use a trade so there's trade exceptions where you could get a chunk of cash to use in a trade.
There's so much minutia, Phil. It gets so complicated.
It might be that you can't use a trade exception and aggregate multiple contracts to get to a bigger contract. Let's get to some.
But
Vikings
you can't
stuff.
aggregate, right? Because I was told after 60 days. You could aggregate Julius. So multiple NBA people who told me that, I don't think would have told me that if, because of the apron rules, the Wolves couldn't do that if they wanted to.
Yep. Let's get to some Viking stuff here in a moment.
Okay, well, one other Wolves note. Can I get one other Wolves note before we transition?
Yep.
So DiVincenzo told me post-press conference he will take care of Jalen Clark. Jalen said, here, take number 0, but there is no working agreement right now. But Donte told me, hey, no problem. I will take care of Jalen.
Jalen. Come on, guy. You haven't played an NBA game.
Yeah, here's
yet.
a gift card.
Jalen, just take a jersey, bro. You
Here's
literally have not played an NBA
here's
game
a
before.
$10 gift card.
I mean,
to
let's
Starbucks. Enjoy the coffee. Bye.
Let's not be ridiculous here.
Oh my
So, hey, Judd, Finch Home Solutions. No relation to our guy Chris, but Cody Finch is all over it for the audience.
Absolutely is. And here is the thing. The Vikings are good. The Wolves, good. Finch is a certified dealer and installer of gemstone lights, permanent holiday lighting. And now you're saying sports, Dad, but what does that have to do with the teams? And I'm going to tell you exactly. In fact, Doogie, I'm talking right to you. Laura would love the permanent Christmas lights, right? Around the house, they're there all the time. No one has to get up and put them up. They are professionally done. But then, let's say it's a big Friday night, Vikings game coming up on Sunday, you can make those lights all purple or Wolves colors. And guess what? Now your home is an official place where it is clear that you want those teams to win. When the Vikings are in the playoffs and making a Super Bowl run, what is better than to have purple lights on your house? Finch can make sure that happens, along with taking care of any electrical needs that you might have, big or small. 612-357-2604, FinchHomeSolutions.com. There they are right now, ready to come to your house and fix whatever you need fixed. FinchHomeSolutions.com.
Maroon and gold, by the way. Maroon and gold.
Okay,
I'm not off the bandwagon.
Okay.
Whatever you want. Yeah.
Hey, I found a new dentist a couple months back. I heard great things about Park Dental, and so as you can see here on the YouTube channel, I took a stroll inside Park Dental, the one downtown, and wow, what a great experience. Just couldn't be more professional, just state-of-the-art technology, and just one of the best experiences I've had, especially when you're looking for a new dentist. Like, oh man, I love my old dentist. He retired. And it just puts you in that weird unknown. I recommend scheduling your checkup at parkdental.com if you're in the market. Parkdental.com, over 50 years caring for and cleaning teeth in Minnesota and western Wisconsin. Doogs, we speculated.
Who was the videographer on that? Who was stuck in the room with you as you're undergoing mouth work?
It was
who deserves love for that?
A nice gentleman from I think from Park Dental or the agency. It was
okay.
Like his gums fell out or something.
That individual deserves a lot of credit.
Well, they were in there sort of awkwardly because I was talking about I get some jaw pain sometimes, and so I'm like going through my personal ailments, as it regarding my teeth, and he's just sitting there with a camera.
I know. Well, and hey, we didn't see it in the edit there, but like I imagine at times maybe he was getting some tight shots, right? The zoom in. That takes some guts. So I want to give that individual some love.
Do you think the Vikings could make a trade?
Yes. November 5th? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we're a month out, but yeah, I do.
There is some...
Yeah, I mean, they don't have a whole lot of draft capital, but yes. You know, you keep winning at this sort of clip, and hey, I'm not expecting 17-0, but they're going to win a lot of games this year. That's pretty obvious. So yeah, you think about making a deep run in January, you can still use some help. So sure, whether it's interior defensive line, could you use another DB? Maybe there's an injury in the next couple weeks that changes things. But yes, I don't think they're like going to get Devontae Adams, if that's what you're asking. I don't sense there's any interest in Devontae Adams. But yes, to answer your question, absolutely.
The name that Giants Twitter is shooting this down, but there's a little bit of Dexter Lawrence trade steam out there.
Hey, I'd love it.
4 more years. He's 26. I don't know why
I have not heard that. Sure. I mean, do I think the Vikings? I think about 20 teams would love to have. 27 teams would love to have Dexter Lawrence.
But not all.
I've not heard that specifically.
Not all are Super Bowl contenders, perhaps.
Accurate. Mm-hmm. He'd be an ideal fit. Now, are you giving up your one? I guess you give up your one next year, right?
Oh,
I haven't heard it. So this is reckless speculation, but you're giving up your one, right, for Dexter Lawrence.
Yeah,
I would think.
At least. Oh yeah, at least. I would say it's 2 first-round picks starting. But do they go full Rams at some point? It's funny how the tables turn in that conversation when you're one of the best teams in the league. What else is in your Vikings notebook here, Dukes? What else you got for us going into
it continues to trend toward, I think about facing Breece Hall, Braylon Allen. You want Ivan Pace Jr. on the field on Sunday. So nothing that has taken place since I mentioned this on Tuesday has changed the idea that after missing a couple games, Ivan Pace Jr. trending to play Sunday in London. On TJ Hockenson, the practice window opening up Friday. There is hope that he can play before November 3rd, that Colts game. Now, he's not playing on Sunday, and we get it. October 20th turns into October 24th quickly, right? Like 2 games in a 5-day stretch. So you're really having him play 2 games in 5 days. So maybe October 24th at the LA Rams is a touch more realistic. Let's see how the next couple weeks goes. But there is some hope that it won't be. But if need be, it can extend that far, that it could be November 3rd. But internally, there absolutely is optimism that TJ can play before that Colts game.
Yeah, and he's looked good. So
he's looked really good.
I don't doubt that. I am curious. The Thursday night game actually helps them, though, because the window closes then on the 25th, which is the Friday after. So you bring up a good point, though. Would you try to play him twice within what? Or no, because he could miss Detroit. No, he could come back. That Rams game actually does make sense. And Phil, on an earlier episode of PD today, made a good case for it.
A great case, I thought.
Yeah, great case.
A fantastic case. Because they play on Sunday. A lot of guys are tired. You get to Thursday, and here comes a fresh 87.
It's like new tires in a NASCAR race. You got everyone's tired for a Thursday night game, except for TJ Hockenson making his debut after a year on fresh legs. That's what I would do. I'd unleash him in that Rams Thursday night game.
Yeah, so I'm wondering if that is maybe the most realistic scenario. Some other notes, the Vikings and Commanders will have scouts at Huntington Bank Stadium on Saturday. Gophers against USC Trojans. Ryan Munnins, high up in the Vikings front office, scouted Notre Dame against Louisville last weekend. I want to mock. So you had an Ohio State linebacker today going to the Vikings?
Jack Sawyer. Yeah,
Jack
great
Sawyer,
football
okay.
name.
All right. Well, look at the cornerback from Notre Dame.
Okay.
His name is escaping me, but he's good.
Okay.
Yeah, I should remember the name, and I don't. That's okay. It's way too early. Yeah.
It is mock season. I love that they're the Yahoo 1.0. We get like 3 college football games under our belts, and we've got full mocks already. All right, I think we have to run here. So any last scoops for the road here, dude?
Well, I mean, it continues to be weird. I've reached out to a number of people, and nobody wants to say anything on Thad Levine. So is Thad back with the Twins? Not back?
Patrick said
It's
he's
just awkward. We are getting some FaceTime.
Is he alive?
On Friday, I don't know exactly what time, but we will
I've
get some
seen him.
FaceTime with Rocco Baldelli and Derek Falvey, not Joe Polad. I haven't been told that Joe's willing to do anything on camera, but we will get some FaceTime with Derek and Rocco on camera for TV's sake, for Channel 5's sake. We'll get that on Friday.
Yeah. Well, it should be a rousing set of press conferences at One Twins Way tomorrow. So, Darren Doogie Wolfson from the 5 Eyewitness News Sports Department. He's our guy every Tuesday and Thursday here, Minnesota Sports with Mackey and Judd. All right, Doogs.
Adios.
Enjoy the rest of your week here. Boys, we will reconvene Purple Daily a couple episodes. We got a Score North Twin show talking about the TV situation, so check those out. Minnesota Sports with Mackey and Judd.